Hi all. So in this video we are going to see the difference between a synchronous subprocess and an asynchronous subprocess. So to know the difference between that, what we are going to do is, first of all, I am going to create a very simple UI of which just store two values, customer data. So let me quickly create this interface. Once our interface is ready, we will just add one or two rule inputs there to store the data. We'll use the forms layout for this purpose, and in our forms layout we will use two text parameters as well. So name, and this is this. So two parameters we have used, and first parameter will be, it will capture the name, and name should get stored in a rule input of name, and it will be of text parameter. Okay, so name, let's put the value of the name as well. We'll put the value as a rule input name, rule input name. Now fine, and the second parameter, let's keep it a phone number. We will not add any validations here, that is not required. Now let's quickly add phone rule input, and it will be also of text parameter, because take phone numbers are not integers, we cannot add two phone numbers together. So let's see phone number, and here we will see the phone number. Now our UI interface is almost ready, and we'll delete this section layout that is not needed. And let's save our changes. All these values are there. Now we'll go to our process and create a process model for the user data to input. So here we'll use customer data. We will keep the default security. And now let's try to add the user input. So it's not yet added. Yeah, now it is added. So here it should store customer data, and we'll go to forms and select our form as well. So the form is ys customer data, and we'll click on yes. Okay, so all these values. Now we have to create our process variable. So how many rule inputs we have? 3. So we will need 3 process variables here. So first of all, we will configure the cancel one, and cancel is boolean. So we will write the same boolean here as well, because cancel is boolean here. Now let's click. Next rule input is name and phone number, both are text. So first of all, we'll write the name. Okay, and second of all, we will write, after name we will write phone, and it is also of text. Let's publish this process model. Okay, assignees are not declared, so we will declare the assignment as well. So in the assignment, let's assign it to process initiator. Okay, so let's validate once again. Now there is no error. Now let's publish it. This process model has been published. Now to know the difference between that, I will use that process model in a different process model. So what I will use here is ys subprocess difference. I will create a new process model. So what I'm going to do is, in this new process model, I will call this subprocess. I will call this process one time as a synchronous subprocess, and another time as an asynchronous subprocess, and then we'll see the difference, like how it behaves. So let's try to add a subprocess first. We have added one subprocess. So our one subprocess, we will configure this as a synchronous subprocess. We will configure this as synchronous subprocess, and the other subprocess, let's try to add one more subprocess, and here we will configure it asynchronous subprocess. And now we want the start node so that both of them get started, so we will use the AND gateway. So we will use AND gateway in this case, and we'll use connect this connector lines, and we'll connect this to AND gate as well. So let's try to configure the synchronous subprocess. In our synchronous subprocess, what we will do, it will be automatically we select a synchronous, and which process model do we want to run. We want to run YS customer. Instead of writing here, we'll directly go to this directory, and here we will write it YS customer. Let's see in the result what we get. Okay, here we have not got, so here we'll use this YS customer data. We'll search it. So we have got this subprocess. Okay, so currently we can see like no input variables are present here because no data will be passed. We just want to see it. Okay, now this synchronous subprocess is configured. Now let's try to configure asynchronous subprocess as well. We'll go to subprocess, and here we will select the asynchronous subprocess, and now we will search again our process model YS customer, and we'll select this. Okay, and let's try to click on OK. Now let's validate our UI once again. Yeah, there are no errors, so let's try to save and publish it. Now what we will do is we will debug this process model. So we'll click on debugging, and let's debug. So if you see here, this is actually the difference between a synchronous subprocess and an asynchronous subprocess. So both of them has a user input task. So what happened, synchronous subprocess is waiting for that user input task to get completed. Until and unless that task is not completed, it will be active. It is in green color, so it is an active. And if you see here, asynchronous subprocess doesn't wait for the subprocess to get completed. It has automatically completed this node, and it has reached to the end node. So this is the difference. Even when we look at the setup of the subprocess, here only we will find the same thing. Node will not complete until the subprocess is complete, and same thing happen in our case as well. And in asynchronous, node will complete when the subprocess started. As long as the subprocess gets started, the node is getting completed. We can see the same thing here as well. Now we will go back to our tempo, and we'll see one task will be assigned to us. If we clear that task, either from the tempo as well we can clear it, or from the UI as well. So in our task section, we can see like one task will be there, customer data. So actually you can see here two customer data are now here. One we have cancelled it, and another. So one has come from our synchronous subprocess, another from asynchronous subprocess. Let's refresh which task actually got completed. So asynchronous task got completed. Let's try to view the subprocess. Yeah, this one I have cancelled it, so it got completed. Okay, and let's try to view this subprocess. It will be still active. Now let's even if we cancel, or doesn't matter, there is only one path. We just for the reference we have taken, so that's fine. Now let's click on cancel. This one is completed, and now you can see here both the subprocess will now get completed. So this is the actual difference between a synchronous subprocess and an asynchronous subprocess.